repeal and replace effort, the text of that. On Thursday morning, we hope to have a CBO score by the beginning of the week and a motion to proceed to that bill next week. Also, due to this unprecedented level of obstruction that we've been experiencing, for example, you may have noticed we had to get cloture yesterday on a district judge in Idaho. I think as of June 28th, there were 178 presidential nominations up here and only 46 confirmed. We're getting zero cooperation on the personnel part of the Senate's portfolio, which is confirming nominations. Therefore, we will be in session the first 2 weeks of August that we had originally anticipated not being here. We will be here. We've got the defense authorization. We've got the debt ceiling. We've got the FDA user fee and other important legislation that we need to address, and we simply, as a result of all this obstructionism, don't have enough time to address all of these issues between now and the originally anticipated August recess. So we'll be here the first 2 weeks of August.
Of course, we remember the promises made when Obamacare was sold. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan. That family of four would see a reduction in their premiums of $2,500, none of which is proven to be true. So based on the experience of the last 7 years, I think it's fair to say that Obamacare has been a failed experiment. And we have two choices: to try to do better, to stabilize the markets, to bring premiums down, to protect people with pre-existing conditions, and then to put Medicaid, the safety net program for the poor, on a sustainable fiscal path, or what Senator Schumer and Senate Democrats apparently believe is a better course. No reforms, no changes, just bail out insurance companies by throwing billions of dollars at them without any reform. We're not interested in that. We think we've got a better plan. We invite our Democratic colleagues to join us. Under the budget process, they have an opportunity to offer amendments to the plan. There's no restriction. So we would invite them to participate in the process to come up with a better product than failure of Obamacare, much less bailing out insurance companies by throwing billions of dollars at them, trying to prop up a failed experiment.
And the news on healthcare doesn't get any better for people in this country. There are going to be 2 million fewer people this year with insurance than had it last year. So the number of uninsured goes up. The cost continues to go up, probably a correlation there. And the highest number of people in this country in a Gallup poll now cite healthcare as being their number one economic concern, highest number since 2007. And in fact, that number's gone up 7% since Obamacare was implemented in 2013. So people are priced out of the insurance marketplace, and as a result of that, you see collapsing markets, you see skyrocketing premiums, and you see people with fewer choices and fewer options. So our goals very clearly and simply are: one, stabilize the insurance markets; two, liberate people from mandates that force them to buy insurance that they don't want and can't afford; improve affordability so that people can afford to have health insurance coverage in this country; preserve access for people who have pre-existing conditions to health care insurance; and then finally to strengthen Medicare for the people who really need it, and making sure that we don't pull the rug out from under those people who really do need it, but make it sustainable for future generations. That's really the goals that we have in this effort. It's clear that Obamacare, as we know it today, is failing. It is a failed program, and it's the American people who deserve better, and we intend to give it to them, and that's what we plan on voting on next week.
The pain of Obamacare continues to worsen. The NBC News report points out that 2 million fewer people are insured now than at the beginning of the year. They tend to be younger people, and it's because they cannot afford the insurance under Obamacare. They cite the main reasons: higher cost, fewer choices. And with regard to fewer choices, front page USA Today, 4th of July, 1,370 counties down to single choice of insurers. That's not a marketplace. that is a monopoly. So over the 4th of July, I was home at community events at a number of hospitals, visiting with patients as well as doctors and nurses. They want a fundamental change away from Obamacare and toward freedom, and that's what we're offering. We're eliminating the mandates, the employer mandates and the individual mandates that people have to buy a government-approved product. We eliminate the taxes that raise the cost of insurance for the American public, and we lower premiums. Even the CBO says that the Republican plan would, by 2020, lower premiums by 30%. We give authority back to the states, decisions closer to home. Washington's one-size-fits-all certainly doesn't work in my home state of Wyoming. For people with pre-existing conditions, certainly they are going to continue to be covered. People up to the age of 26 staying on their parents' plan, absolutely. We know that it's a challenge. We know we have a responsibility and an obligation to get this done because the death spiral of Obamacare is upon us. The American people deserve better.
This slow process of allowing the president to take over the government also, of course, makes it harder for us to get all of our other work done. When you start by taking weeks and months to allow the president to put a cabinet in place, that means that the other nominees come at a slower rate. But the president's nominated 196 people. 23% of his nominees have been confirmed. 69% of President Obama's nominees had been confirmed by the 1st August he was in office. 10% of President Trump's nominees have been allowed to have a voice vote. 90% of President Obama's nominees were confirmed by voice vote. Not allowing the administration to take over the government is the wrong thing to do. At the current rate, if the calculation's right, it would take 11 years and 4 months to confirm the nominees that have to be confirmed by the Senate. That, of course, would not allow us to do anything else. It is unacceptable. It's outrageous. Something has to change.
To follow up on the comments that Roy and the leader have made, we've seen an unprecedented amount of obstruction when it comes to nominees for every position throughout government, whether it's a U.S. attorney position, whether it's district court judges, you name it. This obstruction has put us into a position where the right decision was made today to stay into August to make sure that we are doing the work of the American people. I think it's critically important that we do the job the American people sent us here today, and I commend the decision to make people work and overcome this unprecedented level of obstruction that we've seen.
Senator McConnell, can you address, though, you talked about doing defense, you talked about doing these nominations. You know very well if the Democrats, put these, as you call them, obstructionist tactics, you can't get off the executive calendar to do these other things. Is this really more than just a charade of running the clock a couple of weeks in August? And is this a fallback for health care at your crossways next week in your conference?
I'm not sure I totally understand your question. We're going to do health care next week. And in the reconciliation process, of course, you get to the end. It can sometimes be as a result of exhaustion, but you can get to an end.
But you're not.
And then we're going to turn to other issues. Among them, defense authorization, the FDA user bill, a must-pass bill to fund the FDA. We have to do a debt ceiling increase. There are other things that we have to do, and we only have a limited number of days left. So we fully intend to utilize, not to mention all of these confirmations that are backlogged, we intend to fully utilize the first 2 weeks in August.
But how many of those other issues can you legitimately get to?
We're going to do as much as we possibly can for the American people. That's what they sent us here to do.
You were briefed on this intelligence report surrounding Russian meddling back in the fall before the election. And there was a decision not to put that out in public. Now there are emails that show that Donald Trump Jr. was aware that this may have been damaging information from the Russian government. Do you regret your course of action?
What I have a lot of confidence in is the Intelligence Committee handling this whole investigation. Senator Burr and Senator Warner have ball control, and we'll hear from them later.
Do you personally have any concerns with the fact that the president's son met with a Russian lawyer and never get dirt on the Clinton campaign after being told that the Russian government to help his father's campaign?
Well, I'm sure that Senator Burr and Senator Warner and their committee will take a look at all aspects of the Russian investigation.
Setting the investigation aside, though, harder for you to trust President Trump on Russia, a major adversary, when his inner circles stories about communicating Russia's?
Yeah, the investigation in the Senate's being handled by the Intelligence Committee, and I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of whatever may have happened.
But your personal trust level hasn't changed?
They'll get to the bottom of whatever may have happened.
On the debt ceiling.
On the issue of
you mentioned the debt ceiling as potential thing. Are you wanting that vote to happen before the August recess, before you leave?
Are you talking about the debt ceiling?
The debt ceiling.
Yeah. Ideally, we would deal with the debt ceiling before the August recess.
Does it need to be tied to spending cuts in your mind?
We'll see, but the debt ceiling must be raised. Okay, thanks everybody.